Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, zombie ant fungus. Ants are known for discipline and order, yet this parasite turns that structure into chaos. A single fungal spore landing on an ant's back is the beginning of a total takeover. It drills into the body, spreads through muscle fibers, and starts controlling behavior like a living remote. The infected ant abandons its trail and climbs upward, stopping about 25 centimeters above the forest floor, where humidity and temperature are perfect for fungal growth. Then it bites into a leaf vein and freezes, locked in what scientists call the death grip. Within days, a long stalk erupts from its head, raining thousands of new spores on the colony below. Researchers found that the fungus doesn't destroy the brain, it hijacks muscles through chemical signals, turning the ant into a moving puppet. In 2011, Penn State biologists discovered that colonies even evolved graveyard behavior, dragging infected ants far from others to protect the nest. This battle of mind and instinct happens daily in tropical forests. But while ants fall to a fungus, another microscopic invader manipulates warm-blooded hosts, rodents, cats, and humans, on a scale far greater than anyone first realized. Toxoplasma gondii, cat parasite. Inside, every cat lies a creature that rewires behavior across species. Toxoplasma gondii begins in cat intestines, spreads through feces, and finds its way into rodents. Once inside, it moves straight to the brain, eliminating their fear of cats entirely. Some mice even approach predators as if drawn to them. This ensures one outcome: the mouse gets eaten, and the parasite completes its cycle inside the cat. Scientists have traced its influence to humans too. Around 30% of the global population, roughly 2.5 billion people, carry it unknowingly. Studies show subtle effects: slower reflexes, higher risk-taking, even personality shifts. Infected men tend to become more assertive, while women show greater sociability. Discovered in 1908 by Charles Nicole and Louis Monceau, this organism's global reach makes it one of the most successful parasites on Earth. Yet in nature, mind control takes even stranger forms, because the next manipulator doesn't invade thoughts. It turns its host's body into a neon-throbbing lure for predators. Leucochloridium paradoxum, green-banded broodsac. Snails usually hide from light, but once infected by this parasite, they crawl toward it. Their eye stalks swell, pulsing with green and yellow stripes that move like tiny worms. To birds, it looks like a quick snack. One peck spreads the parasite to its next host. Each movement is deliberate. The parasite invades the snail's tentacles and brain, replacing self-preservation with suicidal behavior. Inside the bird's digestive system, Leucochloridium lays eggs that later exit through droppings. Snails eat them, and the cycle begins again. Scientists observe pulse rates up to 70 beats per minute, mimicking insect motion precisely. Evolution shaped this dance over millions of years. Perfect deception in motion. Yet this isn't the only creature forcing hosts to embrace death. Some use far crueler tricks, like making victims climb to their own doom night after night. Dicrocolium dendriticum, Lancet liver fluke. In the quiet countryside, ants infected by this parasite begin a strange ritual. Every evening, they leave their nest, crawl up blades of grass, and clamp their jaws tight at the tip. There they stay, waiting for dawn, or for a grazing cow to swallow them. During the day, the ant returns to normal, but by sunset, the parasite takes over again. Inside, Dicrocolium dendriticum directs the ant's actions, while other larvae wait in its abdomen. Once inside a cow, they mature in the liver, completing a cycle involving 3 species: snail, ant, and mammal. This pattern, documented by German zoologist Johannes Celler in 1831, showed how mind control extends beyond instinct. It's a full biological schedule, but manipulation doesn't always end in death. Some parasites use their victims to guard, nurture, and even sacrifice themselves for a generation that isn't their own. Glyptopanales, wasp parasite. This parasitic wasp lays up to 80 eggs inside a caterpillar's body. The larvae feed silently for days, avoiding vital organs. When ready, they burst out, attach nearby, and begin forming cocoons. Yet the story doesn't end there. The half-dead caterpillar stays beside them, twitching violently at anything that approaches. Researchers found that 1 or 2 larvae remain inside specifically to control the caterpillar's nervous system. It becomes a bodyguard, defending the others until it dies. Experiments in Japan revealed survival rates double for larvae with a guardian host. It's selfless in a horrifying way, a creature forced to protect the very things that consumed it. And if you thought land-based mind control was terrifying, wait until you see what happens when it takes over creatures of the sea. Sacculina carcini, the crab hijacker. Crabs look strong, armored, and untouchable, but this parasite turns them into hollow shells serving a life they never chose. Sacculina carcini, a type of barnacle, begins as a tiny larva floating in seawater. Once it finds a crab, it injects its soft body through a joint, leaving the hard shell outside like an empty costume. Inside, it spreads like roots through the crab's tissues, taking over every organ, even the nervous system. The crab stops growing, stops molting, and loses the urge to mate. In males, hormones change so drastically they start behaving like females, cleaning and fanning the parasite's eggs as if they were their own. Scientists call it parasitic feminization. A single infection can last years, draining the crab's life for every new generation of Sacculina. Marine biologists in Denmark once recorded entire crab populations turned sterile by this parasite. But while Sacculina controls bodies through hormones, the next parasite uses something else. It turns an insect's deepest instinct, the will to survive, against itself in one final leap. Spinochordodes, telini, horsehair worm. Grasshoppers jump to live, yet under the control of a horsehair worm, they jump to die. Spinochordodes telini grows inside the insect for weeks, stretching up to 30 centimeters long, even though the host's body is just a few centimeters. When fully grown, the worm releases chemicals that change how the grasshopper reacts to light. Instead of staying dry and hidden, the host leaps into water. There, the worm bursts out and swims free, leaving behind a drowned body. In lab experiments in France, researchers found the worm releases neurotransmitters similar to serotonin, essentially hacking the brain into suicide. It's one of nature's darkest tricks. The parasite can't survive on land, so it convinces another creature to die for it. But there's a version of this story that's even more surgical, where a parasite doesn't just kill but rewrites architecture itself. Hymenoepimecis argyraphaga, the spider manipulator. Deep in Costa Rica, a wasp lands on a spider and injects an egg. The larva grows slowly, feeding on hemolymph without killing its host. When the time comes, the wasp does something astonishing. It changes the spider's web design. For one night, the spider abandons its perfect spiral web and builds a new one. Stronger, simpler, and shaped like a cradle. Once it's done, the larva kills the spider and hangs its cocoon from that web. In about a week, a new wasp crawls out. Researchers at the University of British Columbia found that the spider's brain is chemically rewired during those final hours. The altered web design is identical across different spiders, suggesting an evolved blueprint inside the parasite's genes. This kind of precision control is rare. Yet in water, an even smaller parasite performs a masterpiece of manipulation, making fish dance like neon bait for hungry birds. Ophiocordyceps californiensis, the dancing fish parasite. A parasite smaller than a grain of sand lives inside fish brains and turns them into easy meals. Ophiocordyceps californiensis settles on the brain's surface and changes how neurotransmitters fire. Normally, shy fish start darting near the surface, flashing their bellies in bright sunlight, exactly what birds notice first. Researchers at UC Santa Barbara counted up to 40,000 parasites on a single fish brain, yet the host remains alive and active, unaware of its death sentence. Once eaten by a bird, the parasite finally reproduces, completing its multi-host cycle. Infection rates reach nearly 100% in some coastal lagoons. It's mass mind control at an ecosystem scale. But while this parasite controls behavior through chemistry, the next one rules both body and legend. It mummifies insects and has been traded like gold for over 1,000 years. Cordyceps sinensis, the caterpillar fungus. High in the Himalayas, yak herders once believed this creature was part animal, part plant. It begins when spores of Cordyceps sinensis infect a caterpillar underground. The fungus consumes it from the inside, leaving the body upright with a dark stalk growing from its head. Locals call it Yartsa gunbo, the summer grass, winter worm. Harvesters in Tibet and Nepal collect it each spring. A single dried specimen can sell for over $20,000 per kilogram, making it one of the most expensive biological materials on Earth. It's prized in traditional Chinese medicine for boosting energy and stamina, mentioned in texts dating back to the 15th century Ming Dynasty. Modern studies show compounds that may improve oxygen use in cells, explaining its link to endurance. But beneath the trade and myths, it's still a parasitic tomb, a reminder that life can conquer even through death. And yet, one final parasite doesn't just hijack behavior, it reshapes its host's body, creating real-life monsters that inspired ancient legends. Riberoia ondatri, the frog deformer. In shallow ponds across North America, something strange began happening in the 1990s. Kids and scientists found frogs with 6, 8, even 10 legs, some twisted, some growing from their backs. At first, people blamed pollution or radiation, but the real cause was alive, a tiny flatworm named Riberoia ondatri. This parasite starts in snails, then moves into tadpoles, where it settles near limb buds. As the frog grows, the worm releases chemicals that scramble limb development, creating grotesque extra legs. These deformities make frogs swim slower and fall prey to birds more easily, and that's exactly what the parasite wants, because it reproduces inside birds' intestines. Ecologist Peter Johnson documented outbreaks across 40 states. In some lakes, up to 60% of frogs showed deformities. It's a chilling example of nature's precision, using mutation as bait. Yet Riberoia is just one part of a much larger, more calculated system, where parasites control entire food chains like chess masters. Heterorhabditis bacteriophora, the body-snatching nematode beneath the soil, an invisible war rages among insects. Heterorhabditis bacteriophora, a parasitic nematode, hunts with a secret weapon, a symbiotic bacterium. When the worm invades an unsuspecting grub, it releases these bacteria, which flood the host's body, liquefying organs from the inside out. Within hours, the host stops moving. The nematodes feed, grow, and reproduce inside the corpse, turning it into a living factory of death. But that's not the end. The bacteria also release pigments that dye the cadaver bright red, warning off scavengers while the parasites mature in safety. When the next generation is ready, thousands of juveniles burst out, wriggling through the soil in search of a new host. Entomologists call them biological assassins, nature's own pest control that's as gruesome as it is effective. The idea that one microscopic fluke can choreograph such control leaves scientists wondering how many more hidden puppet masters shape the world around us. Life keeps stranger secrets waiting beneath the surface. Thanks for exploring this one with me. Subscribe and stay close, because the next story goes even deeper than you'd ever expect.